Now I'm going to show you the third way that we can input MIDI into a MIDI track or software instrument track. And that is a step note entry method. And what this means is that we're going to be using still a MIDI keyboard to enter the notes, but we're not going to enter the notes in real time. We're going to use a step method to just determine the value of the notes, and then we can play the note on the keyboard out of time. So this is known as step note entry. So to do this, all we have to do is we will go under, so I've got 3 different tracks loaded here, instrument 1, instrument 2, and instrument 3, with 3 different sounds. Okay, so I've got 3 different sounds loaded there. So I'm going to go now. So in order to, I'm going to enter some notes into this track number 2. So what I'm going to do is I'll take my cursor back to the very beginning of the piece and go under Event, and then Event Operations and Step Input. And this opens up a step input window. And now what I can do is you'll see that I have first thing I'll need to do is have a destination track, and so I'm going to select instrument 2. So that's this one here. And now what I can do is I can select a duration of the note value. So I'm going to do eighth notes for now. It's also possible to do tuplets if you select that. A note length, right now I'll do 100%. Sometimes we want them longer. Sometimes we want them shorter. And we'll talk about this later in terms of different scenarios where you want to do that. We'll want to set the velocity. We can have it set to a specific velocity that stays the same by adjusting this. We can also, if we select this button here, now it'll use whatever velocity comes from the keyboard and how hard or soft we press the keys. I'll set this to a set velocity. And then there's some buttons here. Undo step will undo the last step we did. Next step, basically, it just adds a rest, which is nice. So if I want an 8th note and an 8th rest, I just hit next step. And redo step goes back and erases what we previously did. So let me start playing some notes here to actually show you what's going on. So we're going to input this into instrument 2. And actually, let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see more of what's going on here, and make this track a little bit bigger as well. And I'm going to be playing. Now I'm going to hit next step, and you see it jumps to the next step. And let's say I made a mistake, so I can say redo step, and goes back. Should. No, it doesn't. Oh, sorry, undo. There we go. So hit undo. If I hit redo step, I can change that note. Redo. Oh, that's not working the way I thought it would work. So that's a little strange. So I'm not sure why that's working that way. So if I want to undo, I'm just going to do this instead, and then keep hitting notes. Okay, so that's how we can do step note entry. Another slight variation we can do for this then is we can also set, there are these little buttons down below the undo step, next step, and redo step. And you can actually assign a key to the keyboard for this if you want, or if you have a drum pad or some pads on your keyboard, you can use those. So I actually have some free pads on my keyboard. So this is my MIDI keyboard. So I'm going to click here and make this C1, which is very, very low, C sharp 1, and then redo I'll make as D1. So now when I start inputting, let me actually go to instrument 3 now, and I'm going to enter in some notes a little bit later. I'm going to start from here now. And if I start playing notes, oops, sorry, I selected the wrong track. Instrument 1, I meant to hit instrument 3. Undo, hit instrument 3. There we go. So let's see. Now I'm going to play this, see what we get. So the funny thing is, you notice that I was hitting a keyboard to do redo and undo, and we were hearing it, but the nice thing is it actually wasn't producing that note. So that'll be the little kind of thing that's a little bit, might be disorienting if you use that. Right, if I go back to here, to event, operations, step input, is I am using notes for these, but they aren't actually being recorded into the track. So that's important to see there. So in fact, let me just open this up. Actually, I'm going to open this up in a MIDI editor so I can really see sort of like the full range of everything that's happening here. So I can actually see if I play. Right. So actually, now I'm going next step and I'm erasing some of those notes. Whoops. Go back. Actually, that's redoing the step. So I'm going to go back here. So let me start entering some notes. And now undo it. That takes me back. And the next step. And so I'm hearing that note, but you'll notice that nothing is being recorded there. Right, and if I hit play, so that's our step note entry. In the next video, I'll show you how we can actually then edit this MIDI data and how we can change certain parameters, change durations, do things like quantization and really kind of editing the MIDI data. So, but these first 3 videos were just about how to enter the MIDI data.